Welcome back to Literacy Listens, the podcast where we explore listening comprehension and its powerful role in literacy development. I'm Amber, joined by Brian, our listening comprehension expert.
Hi, Amber. Great to be here again.
Before we dive in, a quick reminder. The voices you're hearing are AI-generated, and the script was created with support from AI tools. The ideas come from research carefully curated by Read Charlotte, a nonprofit dedicated to improving literacy outcomes for students in Charlotte, North Carolina. Today, we're talking about supporting multilingual learners, students developing proficiency in more than one language. Many educators work with multilingual learners every day, but may not always feel confident about how listening comprehension fits into their growth.
Exactly. Listening is the doorway into a new language. For multilingual learners in our classrooms, listening comprehension is one of the most powerful tools we have to support both their language and literacy development.
Right, and the big idea for this episode is this. Multilingual learners need the same listening comprehension skills as native English speakers, but they also benefit from intentional time, scaffolds, and opportunities to build oral language in both English and their home language.
Strengthening listening comprehension doesn't sit off to the side. When we strengthen listening comprehension, we're strengthening skills like vocabulary, grammar, text structure, inference, perspective taking, and ultimately the ability to make meaning, all while building part of the foundation for reading comprehension.
And across any language, we communicate in four main modes: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Listening and speaking form oral language, which typically develops before reading and writing.
And for multilingual learners acquiring English, listening usually develops before speaking. That's because listening exposes students to language that is rich but still within reach. When students hear English that stretches them just beyond what they can currently produce, and when it's supported with intentional scaffolds like visuals, gestures, clear modeling, and meaningful context, they begin building understanding even before they're ready to speak confidently.
Yes, and I want to add another really crucial insight from the research. Language and literacy skills transfer across languages. Skills developed in a home language support English growth, so strengthening listening comprehension in any language has value.
Right, and there's also an important assessment layer here. Sometimes educators wonder, is a student struggling because of a language barrier or because they don't understand the concept at all? That's different from a student not yet having the English vocabulary to express an idea they do understand. Being mindful of this helps us interpret performance more accurately and respond more effectively. And there's also some really encouraging research on this topic. Because multilingual learners navigate multiple languages and cultures, many develop strong perspective-taking skills.
Yes, and research suggests that multilingual experiences can strengthen perspective-taking and cognitive flexibility. As students move between language systems and cultural contexts, they're often practicing skills that help them understand different viewpoints and social situations.
Which is such an important reminder. These aren't just nice-to-have strengths. They can genuinely support comprehension, especially when English vocabulary is still developing.
Exactly. Those strengths can help students interpret characters, follow motivations, and make sense of social context in stories and content. It's a real asset, not a side note.
Each year, multilingual learners are assessed on listening, speaking, reading, and writing through a state language proficiency assessment. That means listening comprehension development isn't accidental. Students need intentional opportunities to practice and strengthen it. Regular exposure to rich oral language, paired with supports, makes this progress much more accessible.
One helpful way to think about this is through the orchestra metaphor we've used earlier in the series. Listening comprehension isn't a single instrument, it's a coordinated performance.
Exactly. Vocabulary and syntax are like the rhythm section. They provide structure and stability. Higher-level skills like inference, reasoning, and text structure awareness add nuance and depth. And comprehension monitoring helps students notice when something sounds off and adjust in the moment.
So, for multilingual learners especially, the goal isn't to wait until every part is perfect before expecting meaning making. It's about helping all of those components play together, even as some are still developing.
Right. And when teachers intentionally support multiple components of listening comprehension at once, through modeling, discussion, read alouds, and meaningful oral language, students are better able to follow the music. They can stay oriented, make sense of ideas, and participate more fully even when the language is complex.
So, let's talk about what this looks like in practice.
The first thing you can do is create a comfortable, low-stress environment. Warmth, predictable routines, visuals, and clear structures help students engage with confidence.
Yes, and give students time to process. Before calling on students, pause, let them think, re-listen, or talk with a partner. Processing time is essential, not optional.
And you can pair oral language with supports like images, gestures, facial expressions, and video. These help anchor meaning and connect language to ideas.
Supporting listening in both languages is also really important, English and the home language. If students share a home language, let them process together. Encourage families to talk, read, and tell stories in their home language. That strengthens comprehension across both languages.
Exactly. And use structured collaboration. Turn-in talks, small groups, and partner conversations help build both content understanding and oral language.
Technology can also be helpful. Digital read-alouds, audio tools, or podcasts let students pause, replay, and listen at a pace that works for them.
And another important strategy, teach foundational language explicitly. Vocabulary, grammar, and syntax matter, and higher-level skills like inference depend on them. Explicit instruction helps multilingual learners make meaning from what they hear.
So the big takeaway is this: multilingual learners benefit from all the same listening comprehension supports as native English speakers, plus intentional time, thoughtful scaffolds, and opportunities to work across both English and their home language.
Exactly. And when we focus on listening comprehension early and consistently, we strengthen oral language, reading comprehension, and overall academic success.
So here's something to consider this week. Which listening supports, visuals, processing time, partner talk, gestures, or opportunities to use the home language could you build more deliberately into your next read aloud or lesson to support your multilingual learners? Thanks for joining us today on Literacy Listens. For more information, check out the show notes and visit listeningcomprehension.org. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time.